Hi, friends. It's your old pal, host Eric here. Um, it's 10 p.m. in California. It's a Saturday night. Not usually a good time for live stream engagement, but I'm giving it a shot anyway because I just finished my day's activities. I had to work twice today in two different places, and I've been very busy, very not on YouTube, which always makes me feel sad. It's like somehow I'm like alone and by myself because I'm not hanging out on YouTube or something. It's strange, a strange phenomenon. It's partially has to do with being in the car too much today. I drive various places. I got home. I went to my weed store. It was shut down. Pomona's always shutting places down for no reason. I come back, find another weed store, and go get that. So it added a little extra time to my errands. Finally, I'm back with weed, and I got an eighth of this Diablo OG. Hello, Jerry like the mouse. And I got an eighth of this exotic stuff called Venom or something. I don't know. It's supposedly their best stuff. This place, I like this weed store. It's cheaper. Anyhow, this is a Typology Community Q&A. If you have any typology questions or if you have any typology answers and you'd like me to pose the
You're
question.
home.
I just got back with the weed.
Look at this.
Looks like a mess.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we'll put that someplace not on me right now. Put it right there.
I wasn't
please.
gonna put it on you.
Okay, put that right there, please. And then, hi, Brenna Lee. It's Brenna Lee, Kim.
Hi, Bradley.
You know how Brenna Lee is.
I do.
She's always like, I'm Brenna Lee.
She's my long lost daughter.
Yeah. And there's Jerry Saravia. We've been waiting for him. You're an expert. Good. Happy Groundhog Day to you too, Amber Drasher. I was appreciating your comments earlier. I didn't really get a chance to respond to comments today because like I indicated, it's been a very, very busy day. A lot of driving for me today. But
Because Eric has a day job.
yeah. Hippie in disguise. Howdy do, y'all. Howdy do to you too, hippie in disguise.
Do you have those dust pants anywhere? Vomit.
Yeah, I do, but right now I'm
Well,
I'm done doing stuff right now.
Okay, fine. Then I'll just leave this gross mess right there.
Okay, well, I mean, the thing is, I will clean it up myself, but I will do it on my schedule.
Okay.
Hello again, Thing Townsend. Southern California traffic, so much fun. Pretty good. The thing is, the traffic wasn't even bad today because it's Saturday. It was just, I just don't like being on the road that long, you know? I get mental issues. Kim.
Oh, sorry. Eric, you get mental issues just from being born. No.
I get mental issues just from being born? Okay. I get mental issues from driving the car too long.
No, you have mental issues. They're just heightened.
You should go on, you go consult for C.S. Joseph.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to need a lot of attacks, and you've got a whole bag full of them.
Are you being
So anyway, the nature of my nature is such that I don't do well with long periods of time by myself, frankly. And being in the car, even for a couple hours, it depresses me or something. It's like
so much time away from Kimberly, he just doesn't know what to do with himself.
It's true. I need every minute of every day to spend with Kimberly. Newell Zaire. This is the first time I'm here, and I already know he's a perceiver. I'm an EHP. Yeah, you can probably successfully guess that I'm a perceiver based on my smoking of the weed and perhaps, I guess, a lack of
Niceness toward Kimberly.
clarity or focus to the content. No, I'm very nice to Kimberly. I am shockingly nice to Kimberly.
Except for when I'm in a grumpy mood.
Well, we do tend to snipe at each other occasionally, but that's okay. Let's see. Speak for yourself. Issues make us interesting. Alone time, ugh. I agree with you. Alone time, ugh. If I'm not engaged actively, I'm just like, all I think about is heavy shit, like, depressing stuff, like my parents or
my dog.
That's not my dog.
He says.
Well, that one's the exotic. It does feel a little bit more stony. So I just put it in it.
Nope, friend day.
There you go. So if anybody had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, of course. And if you don't have any questions, then that's fine too. I can just sort of freestyle. INFP mode. Been a month since a cig. I miss it. Cleaning hundreds of butts right now. Well, I don't think I haven't gone a month without cigarettes for a long, long time. Hey, Eric, how big of a role do you think the second and third numbers in one's Enneagram tri-type affects them? Well, the thing is, I think that Enneagram is mostly a descriptive understanding of things, like how am I generally responding to fear is by avoiding it. I think that as I get older, I move a little bit away from 7 towards 5, maybe towards 6, maybe 6. It's like I'm becoming more 6. I'm becoming more nesty. I'm becoming less avoidant, nesty, less avoidant of fear, basically, and more able and willing to complete things that need to be completed instead of just procrastinating all the time and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think Enneagram type is static in the way that MBTI type is. But having said that, I would say that, well, the clearest I can do is use myself as an example on this. I'm 7-8, which means I at first appear harmless, naive, and childlike. And then if you push certain directions and evoke conflict, then you'll see the 8 in me no problem right away. I immediately, if there's conflict, I immediately default to fighting, not to resolving, not to avoiding. So in that regard, it's 8 happens when it's appropriate for 8. 7 happens when it's appropriate for 7, and 4 for me, I don't really quite get a clear sense of how 4 exactly plays out. I'm just saying that that it's like I get the 7 and 8 part. The 4 is simply, to me, it means that I'm not helpful and I'm not achieving on normal metrics. So it's like, but I'm still not ashamed of myself for failing to do those two things. That means I'm a 4. The second number is more static than the third. Not necessarily. I don't really have an opinion on that question. Oh, so tri-type autocorrected the throttle. That's funny. I had a student named David Dosh, and his name would autocorrect to discharge or douche. I like playing with blowtorches too, Poopy Poopy Man.
Eric sleeps with his.
I do not sleep with my torch.
Yes, you do.
No, this is almost empty. I got some propane to replace it. When it fully runs out, heaps of butt pickers here. Yeah. Picking butts and taking names. That's what makes this a party. What's your opinion on the Big Five? My opinion on the Big Five is that it is a demographic comparison metric. So if you want, like, okay, when you take a standardized test, they tell you you're in the 98th percentile or whatever, right? So it's like, that's great. It tells you where you stand related to other people on the test. In other words, it gives you some sort of comparative data as how normal or abnormal you are. In that regard, you could get some utility out of the Big Five because it's describing broad behavioral patterns that can be shorthanded into attributes in a somewhat meaningful way. But beyond that, it doesn't really tell you anything about your personality at all. It just tells you that you're more conscientious or less conscientious than somebody. You're more open, you're less open than other people, more or less neurotic, more or less extroverted, more or less agreeable. But it doesn't tell you anything about why you are that way. And there seems to be a willful desire to reject the notion of implicit qualities because, well, I mean, like TE DOMs will be like, well, people use MBTI as an excuse for failure, and that's bad. I don't think many people do use it as an excuse for failure, but sometimes it is a good excuse for failure. If you're asking me why I don't want to enter the earnest displays of authentic emotion contest, I have a good reason to not want to enter it, and it's due to my type, and it's because I will fail at it because of my type. And that's okay to note that, you know, it's like, so anyway, I think cognitive functions tell you meaningful information about what it means to be you, why you are the way you are, and why you aren't something other than that. And Big Five doesn't really tell you anything, except you can compare yourself against the general populace. You know, the things it measures are composites of other things. It shares that flaw with the IQ test. Okay, Hulk Hogan says, I disagree with your type methodology. I agree with C.S. Joseph. You're wrong. Taylor corrects his spelling. Well, thanks for telling us that, Hulk Hogan.
So then why are you here, Hulk Hogan?
It's fine for him to be here. My point would be you don't say anything there. You just share your feelings with us. Your feeling of disagreement and your feeling of agreement. You're not warranting them with anything, you see? So it doesn't matter what you say. Okay. Big Five is actually too vague, but it depends on tools and metrics used to derive readings. I'm not sure what to make of that. The Big Five is more useful than the MBTI. Do you agree with that? No, I don't agree with that. I think MBTI, at least conceptually, has the thing right. It just doesn't have it right in the execution of the details. So, whereas Big Five conceptually has it wrong, it thinks we can understand human identity through empirics like that, like empirical comparisons. That's not a meaningful way to understand identity. It certainly doesn't address any questions of consciousness. It doesn't address any underlying philosophical questions. And it's not representative of reality. Big Five is just because we found consistently that an assortment of different things can combine into these five categories of thing that we can statistically differentiate from one another and we can statistically compare people against each other in the population, that doesn't make it better, right? It doesn't, because you got to remember, what's the purpose of this thing that you're referencing or invoking. If it has a specific purpose, then what is that purpose? And the answer is, if you ask Big Five, well, it's more scientifically valid. But what's its purpose? Um, let's see. Enneagram is very good for exploring your shortcomings in life. I find much better than MBTI, at least to me. Um, I mean, Enneagram is another way to frame them that's not exclusive. I don't know if it's better or not for overcoming. Don't you think staying authentic to oneself is actually not failing, but it's honest, authentic 100%? Well, I mean, that's a very TI style argument to make about it. Uh, do you think sociopaths and psychopaths just typically have low FIFE? What do you think would be the difference between a low FI user being one of the two, the others maybe normal? Well, I mean, I think sociopaths or psychopaths probably have missing FI in some sense. So normally, an individual will feel a sympathetic revulsion towards suffering or sympathetic suffering themselves in response to seeing real suffering in others. That nobody wants to experience uh, those realities. If you don't experience any kind of natural revulsion to it, I would argue that you probably don't have any FI. So, um, USA is junk. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, no, it's how dare you. Is that what you're hoping to get me to do or something? Serbia is best. I took a test that kind of reverse engineers Big Five into MBTI result, and it was pretty accurate. Interesting. Serbia is best. Congratulations for you, Serbia. I mean, Sonora Benihlopa Pari. Is that your name? That's how I pronounce it. Sonora Benihlopa 3 Pari. USA is junk. Me Serbian. USA junk. Okay. Acknowledging one's strengths and weaknesses is not always comfortable, but it's authentic. Yeah, I mean, it, it, it's not always authentic either. Sometimes it's a social game to be self-deprecating in some regard to establish whatever FE capital you need to establish or something. But by and large, I think coming to terms with the fact that you have certain expectations for yourself that are reasonable and certain that are not. So if you listen to Jordan Peterson, he's going to tell you a lot of what you need to do is increase your conscientiousness, become more TE, God damn it, right? He's going to tell you that shit. I'm going to tell you, well, if you're not very conscientious, obviously you don't particularly want to be conscientious. So maybe the answer is not to be more conscientious, but to reduce the amount of conscientiousness that's required of you in life. Let's see. Please ban this idiot from the comments. Who? The Serbian? I don't get why C.S. Joseph categorizes types based off contextually variable things like direct versus informative speech patterns. That's a good point. They are contextually variable things. I don't even know I can't. Can I ban people from the chat? I didn't even know I could. Well, but you have to really say some nasty shit for me to ban you from the chat. We are South Europe, no East. Congratulations. Russian Batman or Slavic. I still like your videos, Eric, but calling me CSG and stating my opinions is funny to me. Did I state your opinions? I don't think I stated your opinions. I may have said you were making those kind of arguments, or they were implicit to those questions or something. But I'm glad it's funny to you, so you can enjoy the hilarity of your laughter. U.S. bombing Serbia in '99 because Kosovo? Yeah, well, look, the U.S. is engaged in all sorts of fucked up foreign policy. I totally agree. And so is every other fucking country. Do I approve of every act the United States has ever done in the world? No. I'm the United States' harshest critic because I'm a huge patriot. Being a patriot, a patriotic American to me means criticizing the living fuck out of my government. So there you go. Any problems you have, just clean your room and it'll all be okay. Right. Here's Jordan Peterson's consideration about things. Just be more TE, be more SI. I mean, be more, not SI, but be more conscientious. Okay, but conscientiousness isn't my thing, dog. It's not. I'm not saying it might not help a bit on your metric. What about on mine? Why do I need to be more conscientious exactly? I'm not a conscientious type. Now, regardless, I have to be somewhat conscientious, obviously, and generally a decent amount of conscientiousness is good. But retaining flexibility and the opportunity to take advantage of things in the moment, which requires a little less conscientiousness, is also good. Let's see. I think I know who this Serbian idiot is, says Bruce Wayne. I do too. It's Sonora Benahelopa 3 Baperi. Are you an ENTP by any means, Serbian dude? It's probably fucking Kaizo. USA bombing only oil country. What? Dude, whatever. Do you think Vegan Gains is an INTJ? I don't know. I'd like to debate him, though. What type do you think Elon Musk is? I think he's an INTJ, or maybe an ENTJ. Where are you living in USA? I'm living in Los Angeles County. Yeah, you're doing such a terrible job of this bullshit. You're not fooling anybody, Kaizo. I think it's critical to patriotism. Dawson K says, I'm Canadian. I don't really like how some Americans hate people who criticize their country. It's good that you're critical. I am critical because I'm patriotic. I'm planning on running for president and changing the way things are done a bit. Trying to make the country more just, more fair, more reasonable, engaging in less bullshit on the foreign policy stage and less bullshit on the domestic stage. But will I win? Another question. I think I'm the most qualified. I don't think I'm the most electable. But I'm going to do my best to get elected. Kimberly doesn't want to be first lady, but she's still going to have to move to the White House with me. I'll hire a first lady, to be official first lady. Well, thank you, Jay Kubel or Kubi or whatever it says. Yeah, thanks, Sheila. I love Kimberly's laugh too. It's amazing. I support. I'm a fair weather fan. Whichever team's winning. I used to be a Lakers fan until Chick Hearn died. That ruined my love of the Lakers a little bit. Chick Hearn was the greatest basketball broadcaster ever.
Oh, Brenda Lee.
So what type is Joe Rogan? I think he's SENIFITE. I think he's SETI. I think he's TI. I don't know. I haven't really watched much of him. Yeah, Vlade Divac did play for the Lakers. I watched Vlade Divac play a lot because back in the day when he was playing, I was a big Lakers fan because Chick Hearn was still around. I think he's an ESTP.
Do you think that's ENTPP over there?
Yeah. No, she's an ISFP. My kitty Pee over here is an ISFP. So
she's a bitch.
I score ridiculously high on conscientiousness, and tests will give you INTX. Well, if you score high on conscientiousness and get INTX, there's a decent chance you'd be more likely to be an INTJ than an INTP. INTPs being notoriously non-conscientious. All right, let's see what else is going on here in the comments, the chat. His ideas seem common with NTs, but I haven't watched him speak much. I assume you are referring to. I'm not sure. Divac is Serbian. Okay. Maybe. Well, what keeps Musk from going Orwell like Zuckerberg? I don't know. After you become president, you can go and order 3,000 burgers. Such an ESTP thing to do. Yeah, that is a super ESTP thing to do. So you think that weed enhances the ability of certain cognitive functions? No, I don't think so. I don't think it. I think what it does for me is it settles me in a little bit. It's kind of contrary to ADHD. It slows me down a little bit, I guess, which I kind of need.
Makes me stink a little bit, I guess, which you don't need.
It makes you stick.
You stink.
Oh, it makes me stink. Well, it makes you smell like weed. But
You're like Linus, but instead it's like a green smoky haze around you.
that's a good analogy there, Kim. I like that. The thing about weed is this is my explanation for it. If I'm coming out here in the morning and I'm feeling bouncy, like not really wanting to focus on anything, not really finding anything interesting enough to settle into it, then I pull a couple bowls and all of a sudden I'm into whatever it is I'm doing, and that period is passed. So it just sort of settles me into shit. It doesn't really get me high that much anymore. But you know,
It takes one of his edges off. He's got many edges.
I do have a few edges here and there. Okay, so let's see here. Do you think it's a fair distinction to call FI formalist morals and FE consequentialist morals? I don't call FI morals at all. I call FI implicit valuing, like
what you work in life.
Being a being of one kind, a living being, means recognizing that suffering is universal. So it's like you can't be a mammal without having the capacity to hold precious that which is dear to you. And because of that, you know what suffering is. And you can see it in others, and it evokes an inherent response from you of distaste or not liking to watch it, you know? So the thing is, it's not it that's the root of FI is somewhere in there. But it does not comprise morals. It comprises animal purpose, animal desire. And so I think what we have morals from are it does involve FI in some regard because FI aligns with individualism in some ways. TI is where we have both ethics and morals. FE is more where we have altruism, which is an attempt at moral positivism that doesn't work. You might even say that's TE as well. But TE, I associate more with utilitarianism. Okay, so let me go on down to the next thing. Eric, do you like Northern Lights or Trainwreck? I prefer Northern Lights. But, there's a little bit of an SI link there. It's not like it's the most amazing weed ever. It's hot winter in LA. No, it's cold today. It's raining. My dad is an ENTJ and has ADHD and uses weed to mellow out. Eric, do you what you work in life? I'm a debate coach. Why cats living in house, dude? This is the garage. Joe Rogan's interview with Steven Tyler was hilarious and informative. Okay. Is there something you wish you could do, watch, listen to for the first time again? Well, that's an interesting question.
How about the video of when we first met?
Well, I guess that question, it depends on whether I get to change what happened or not. If you just mean re-experience it, then I could think of a few experiences I wouldn't mind re-experiencing, I guess.
What about our proposal?
But if you're saying change it, I could think of a lot of experiences where I'd like to go back and fix things. Like I would like to go back to our first date, the beginning of our relationship, and not make a lot of the mistakes that I made. Because when you're dealing with SI dom, you never live that shit down. It's forever. Russia. Let's see. Yes, my dad is severely addicted, and he has tried to quit multiple times. You can't be severely addicted to weed, Brenna Lee. That's crazy. There's no such thing as severe
Yeah,
addiction to
Brennan. He's
weed
just telling you that.
because it's like, um, first of all, it's not addictive in any sense of the word. Like it's not physically addictive at all, and to the extent that you're mentally addicted to it, it's not remotely as addictive
Alcohol.
as anything else. Basically, I. if I have to go on a trip and don't have any weed, I'll just make do with that for a few days. It's no big deal. Making do with that for a few days of cigarettes, you're talking about somebody's getting their neck wrung. It's like, uh,
Who cares?
okay, let's see. He accepts its place in his life now. I mean, it's like it probably makes him better. The alternative people. This is the thing. I was talking earlier on a video in the car. I probably won't upload it. Just go to the archive channel. What about temporal bargaining? All addiction issues and
Your wife is USA.
um, so
You have kids, dude.
so anyway, what I'm saying is you gotta make temporal bargains with yourself. You have to have some sort of reward, and you got to understand that you can't indulge in it all the time. You got to balance that shit. It's a skill set everybody has to develop over the course of their life, and we do everyone a disservice when we don't talk about addiction issues in those terms. When we talk about them as binaries that it's either black or white, you either don't do any drugs or you're a problem. You've got to you've got to be smarter than that about it. It's more complicated than that. Everybody's got something that they tweak out on, whether it's food or drugs or alcohol or gambling or sex or some sort of thing like that, right? So it's a matter of we all have to learn to do that temporal bargaining to understand that we can't do the things that we find most immediately gratifying all the time. We've got to find a balance. Weed is not addictive. Look, the thing is, the fact that I smoke weed all day, you could say I'm addicted to weed, quote unquote. But I've been actually addicted to things. Okay. I'm addicted to cigarettes. I'm not saying I'm not addicted to things. I'm definitely addicted to cigarettes. So I know what an addiction is. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I was addicted to alcohol. So I know what an addiction is. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I'm not saying I don't have any addictions anymore. I'm addicted to amphetamines, my prescription amphetamines in a certain way. I mean, I do go week every month or so, or 2 weeks sometimes without any. But the point of it is that those are addictions of sorts. The amphetamines aren't really an addiction, but it's close enough. You could call it an addiction. Weed, no, you can't call it that. And I'm telling you from ample knowledge and experience and clear objective self-criticism here, acknowledging my addictions and other things, that this is not an addictive substance. You cannot get addicted to it. You might get habituated to it, like I am. I'm habitually smoking weed. I am not addicted to it. Okay. I mean, I find weed only has positive impacts on me mostly. Uh, it's I think it protects my lungs. I think from cigarettes. I think it gets me to be more just more chill and more okay. So I've been to the point where if I don't smoke, I get a really bad stomach ache. I don't experience any consequences at all for not smoking weed. Meth addiction is difficult to stop. Not really. Not compared to alcohol. I've stopped meth. Um, I never got the dream thing. I have vivid dreams even when I go to bed stoned. I don't really have dreams much. I smoke a lot of weed. Some people are more susceptible to weed addiction than others based on dopaminergic pathway. Others are not, probably because they have another vice. Specific strands of weed can cause psychosis. That is not true. That is not true. Look, the thing is this. it is likely the case that for people who are already suffering from psychosis, that marijuana can aggravate it. And it's also the case that alcohol suppresses it. Um, that doesn't mean it causes it at all. There's no causal link. I mean, if there were a causal link, then we'd see a vast number of instances of psychosis amongst the millions and millions of regular Americans who smoke marijuana every day. So, yeah. Dawson, is it weird if you smoke a lot of cigarettes but simply cannot get addicted? It seems I can't get addicted. I stop for long periods and feel no cravings. I find it weird, but
the thing is I was the same way until I got older. Maybe I think that the addictions become harder as you get older to quit.
yeah, I agree with that. Like a food addiction and balance is the key. I mean, it's not necessarily, it's, you got to find what works for you. That's the thing. What works for me is not going to necessarily work for other people, but it does work for me and it's sustainable. And so that's good. I'm accustomed to my way of living, and I'm additionally happy and comfortable with my life. So I'm not having any problems with my intoxicants, for lack of a better word. Uh,
Kimberly sometimes has a problem with your intoxicants. As long as there is balance, she's okay.
well, I mean that presumes your understanding of balance is the best understanding of balance.
It means giving me 2 weeks off of your Adderall. Adderall and nastiness. Adderall around in nastiness.
Who's being nasty?
No, I'm saying that.
But no,
You get to a point.
I'm asking a
You get
question
to a
though.
point
But I'm
where
asking a question. Who's actually being nasty?
um, I don't know who's being nasty.
Not me. Okay. Uh, I've read that nicotine is more addictive than heroin. I managed to quit nicotine after 20 years of smoking. Luckily, never did heroin. Did a little opium, but I didn't like it. So let's see here. I can give up alcohol, but I live with an alcoholic. I'm sorry for you if you live with an alcoholic. You're gonna have to figure that thing out. Is it a significant other or a parent or what?
Why do you know clean hair?
If it's a parent, then you can move out. If it's a significant other, then you've got yourself a tricky situation there. So if someone was addicted to alcohol, why would they say I'm a recovering alcoholic versus I used to drink but do not drink anymore? How are the two different? I use the phrase recovering alcoholic because it's the most commonly used phrase, and because implicit in it is the notion that I cannot successfully drink again, which is an affirmation I have to make and it accept as an observational truth in order for me to continue not drinking. Now, I'm not defending that notion of alcoholism as an argument in general. I'm not saying that alcoholics definitionally are people who can never drink again normally. Um, so I don't agree with it argumentationally, but I agree with it for me, and that's why I use the term. Why do you stream from your garage anyway? Well, I can smoke out here. I don't smoke in the house. Doesn't cause it. It triggers a dormant existing mental disorder. I don't think it triggers anything dormant either. I think it aggravates something that's either, you know, there but not particularly strong, or but I don't think turning into a trigger of psychosis is argumentationally unjustified. I'm not talking about you, Eric. I'm not even saying weed is bad. All I'm saying is that THC in weed is an addictive substance. It's not an addictive substance. It's not, though. I mean, by any meaningful definition of the word addictive, that's the thing. Define the word, first of all, because is anything that's potentially habit forming an addictive substance? If that's the case, fine. But having experienced actual addictive substances before, I can tell you marijuana is not one. Okay. Do you think it is normal for some people to see and hear things that are not there, such as items, or is it always due to something being wrong? It's not always due to something being wrong. It's just sometimes we trip ourselves out. Uh, I know that when I don't get enough sleep, I see things that aren't there sometimes. When I am deep in my head, I might hear things that aren't there. Like, um, I mean, I don't know. It depends. It's not doesn't happen often, but there are certain things that are like, who? What was that? And but I would say it's if it happens a lot, you're hearing and seeing things that aren't there, then it's probably indicative of something wrong. It's not NI. Raul Diego suffers from psychosis from every strain of marijuana except the one known to cause psychosis. So that's the one he smokes. Have you been talking to Raul on the side, Matthew? I didn't know he spoke with other people. I thought because he's told me before that he's not going to talk to anybody because he's afraid that they might be a censor. He hates censors so much.
Yeah, he avoids me like the plague.
Raul Diego does?
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, no, he doesn't avoid you. He wants you to get him food and coffee and stuff.
And I do.
Yeah, well, I don't know why you don't treat me like as good as you treat Raul. Just joking, Kimmy.
Because, Raul paints with his dick. It's entertaining.
He doesn't paint with his dick, Kimmy. He paints with his ideas. Okay. It's based on CBD and THC abnormality because enhanced THC growing weed as a specific strands on every type of weed. I mean, I just don't buy it. I'd have to see substantial mountains of evidence to substantiate this claim, and given the strong advocacy bias that's implicit in these sort of studies, I really have my doubts. It just doesn't follow. I mean, we know that how many million Americans smoke marijuana, and how great of an increase is the rate of psychosis in the last few years.
Girls are hookers.
Okay. ESTP Chad here. Hi, ESTP Chad. So it can trigger psychosis? I would say no, it cannot trigger psychosis. I would believe that it makes existing psychological problems worse potentially. I do believe additionally that alcohol suppresses schizophrenia. That's why a lot of schizophrenics become alcoholics. What are my thoughts on LSD? I think I don't want to do it really. I've done it plenty of times. I've done it like probably 10 times now. Let me.
Brenna, you are a hooker.
Okay, I've had enough of you now. Put user in timeout. You're in timeout. Okay. Yeah. Timeout.
What does that mean?
He was
seconds.
He's given it timed out for 300 seconds. I didn't know I could do that.
What's timeout?
I've never had to put anybody on timeout before.
What's 300 seconds?
That's like 4 minutes or something. If you could have the best version of any of the functions, which one would you choose? Well, that's a weird question because it's like if I wouldn't choose to be anybody other than I am already. I wouldn't choose to suddenly get rid of one of my ways of attention and replace it with another fully developed way if I could.
Me neither.
I like who I am.
Me too.
Kim, I'm. You know what, Kim?
What?
I like who you are too.
No, you don't.
You keep saying that, but I figured it out last night and this morning. I figured it out.
In the bath?
Look, every time I'm emotionally disengaged from you, it upsets you a little bit, okay? And then you want to test me. You want to test to see if I really care about you or if I'm going to leave you.
No.
No, no, that's what this is, Kim.
No.
And then you get afraid. You get afraid because of the lack of emotional engagement that somehow I don't love you anymore because I'm not emotionally engaged with you at the moment.
What are you talking about?
That's why you always say this
Oh.
shit. No, why are you always saying shit like, "Oh, well, you don't love me and you don't want to spend time with me." Well, I'm a busy person and I spend a lot of time doing a lot of different things, and I do go emotionally engaged with you often, but I'm just not always emotionally engaged with you. So you sometimes have to be okay with that, even though your feelings want me to be emotionally engaged in those moments.
Right, but that doesn't mean I think you're leaving me. I mean, come on.
Okay, well, I don't think you consciously think that. I mean, I think you're testing from an unconscious lack of faith in.
Oh, Hulk Hogan, are you trying to stir up some shit?
He's trying but failing miserably. Probably Hulk Hogan is the same person
Oh,
as the
yeah.
guy, right? The the Serbian guy, because Serbia left and Hulk Hogan came back. Hulk Hogan left, Serbia came in. Serbia left, Hulk Hogan came back. I'm guessing it's the same guy.
Trying to
If I choose to
rattle the
be controlled
cage.
by a substance that's mind altering, then is alcoholism or addiction my real issue? Well, okay, Amber Drasher, I would say, why do you say be controlled by? Why are you assuming that because I'm habitually doing something, I'm controlled by it? You might say that I'm, uh, I am constrained by my habits. That because I'm habitually doing these things, that by habit I will continue to do them, and that will occupy the amount of time and resources that it does. You can say that for sure, but to say that I'm being controlled by it, therefore, that's an odd thing. I mean, are you controlled by your need for breath? Are you controlled by your need for food? Are you controlled by your need to sometimes watch TV and relax and just lay back and stop worrying about stuff? Do all those things control you? I don't think so. I mean, just because you need to do something habitually doesn't mean you're controlled by it. And I don't need to do it habitually. Like, there's no timetable, right? If I don't smoke weed for a couple of hours, I don't go, oh my God, I really need to smoke weed. If I don't smoke a cigarette for a couple of hours, I definitely do that. So you could say, you'd be more correct in saying I'm controlled by cigarettes.
And sex.
Yeah, and going pee. I'm more controlled by going pee and going poo and eating food. If you have to choose the best version of a function for some chosen length of time, what function would you choose? So, in other words, let's say there's an hour to have imprint somehow magically shift types or whatever. I would probably shift to something I don't understand very well. ISFP to get a feel for FISE. Um, Anyone think it weird how many trolls there are tonight? Lol, see us just got workers on the clock. He might, but I mean, I think they must be frustrated. I'm pretty difficult to troll. It's like, I'm just gonna roll with whatever, and
It takes a lot to rattle your cage.
yeah, you're gonna have to do a lot better job than that. So, do you think someone speaking a second language that has an effect on their cognition versus the same person speaking their native tongue? Yeah, but I'm not exactly sure how. I don't know I don't have anything else to say about it. But it's a good question. What are your thoughts on an INFJ relationship? I, I don't think
INFJ.
I don't think that same types work well in a relationship because they they fundamentally feel like
No, it's
they're
an
occupying the
INFJ.
same.
ISFJ.
Oh, is that what it says? INFJ? No, it says INFJ and INFJ. I don't think like types are good matches because they both occupy the same niche. So neither person wants what the other one has to offer. I can't say that. I say that because that's what meetings say. I disagree with them. Oh yeah, well I'm no longer in AA, so why can't people evolve past the criteria for typing? What does that mean? can't they evolve past the criteria for typing? I don't get what you mean by criteria there. I'm not sure you're using it as you think you are. I'm addressing that I choose to practice my indulgences that I'm fond of. Oh yeah, well, yeah. I don't think it's controlling. In a way, you can get physiologically controlled by things. Your body physically reacts when you break a habit. It reacts like, "Why aren't you doing this right now?" It's kind of weird. You feel it. That's certainly true for cigarettes. And my body really reacts strongly when I eat and I'm hungry, and I really feel this like crazy, um, I'll start to sweat, or as my body shifts gears into like food digestion mode. It's weird how much your body does stuff, you know. Anyway, ESFP are just gay. Now, easy 1, 2, 3. It is not true that ESFPs are all gay. Some ESFPs are straight and some are bisexual. ESFP are pervs. Now, Angang tier. ESFPs are not all pervs. Some of them are very nice people. Jerry like the mouse. The only purpose to type a person is predict behavior. I mean, I don't know what the purpose to type a person is. It depends it depends who you are that's doing the typing of them. I type people nowadays for money. That's my purpose. My When I do it in my own life, like I notice somebody displaying a cognitive function, I'm not necessarily likely to type them. I'm likely to think, "Oh, this person's FE heavy." And then I might use that to change how I approach them. That information. Um, INTJ female, ISFP male relationship should work out well. I mean, they're almost duals. They share all the same functions, different order. Should work out well. It's not perfect, but I think if there were going to be a problem, it would be the fifth slot function of ISFP is FE, and that's INTJ's polar, and the fifth slot function of INTJ is NE, and that's ISFP's polar. And the problem with those things is we tend to validate other people via our fifth slot function's value, and you're not going to validate on your partner's basic other people metric because it's your polar. I'm not trolling, just clarifying. What are you just clarifying, Joel, Nathan Henry? I have no idea. I wonder exactly how they do measure addictivity of substances. I've seen comparative charts. I guess how many times used and the space between those times used. I wonder about that too now that you mention it, Matthew. Also, to help understand where other types are coming from, which aid in interpersonal relations. Yeah, it does. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. Knowing how to deal with people a little bit better. When I see like those flamboyant Puerto Rican guys in New York, I always think, I bet that guy's in the ESFP. Hero Lamb, we are not here to talk shit about poor ESFPs.
It's not hero, it's hero.
Are free love hippies by nature. Those flamboyant Puerto Rican New York gay guys, I always see them and think that person is an ESFP. You put that twice. I think my brother's an ISFP. So for smoother interactions, I mean, it depends if you want to move somebody, or if you want to spank them. If you need to move somebody and you don't want to do it, and you don't think you're going to succeed in doing it with your fists, rhetorically, then you should use FE. So for me, I have FE as a pretty effective tool function when I want to use it. Like I got my license plates from the DMV, even though I didn't have my old license plate to turn in when you're supposed to turn them in.
That's pretty smooth, host Eric. That's pretty smooth.
That was all FE. I was working that woman with lots of displays of certain kinds of authenticity and certain displays of nativity and such that made her like me. And she figured, okay, well, here, just fill this thing. She knew they were behind the paper. That's where they were. I never thought to look behind the paper of the dealer plates. That's where my license plates were. Pretty dumb. Well, FE is not just virtue signaling. It's there's for two FE people who are enjoying FE with each other, they don't like each other because they're virtuous. They like each other because they're engaging the other person's moisture.
Brenna, you're a hooker.
Oh, Serbia, you're back again with your nonsense.
And now you're not.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I really suck at FE. I remember once I was trying to get out of Paint a Ticket and I just failed miserably. Well, he wasn't talking about you, Brenna Lee. That's the point. He was talking about my friend Brenna. Now, my friend Brenna, he's right. She's a hooker. But that's no reason to say that, you know? You don't need to simply explain.
Jesus.
So,
He's back again.
yeah, well, I put him on timeout again. Okay. The criteria that a person uses to type another individual, is it possible to be misleading in your behavior? Well, sure, it is. I mean, and the thing is, but it depends. It's like, okay, most people aren't going to be knowing that there's something to gain. They're not going to be aware that I'm interpreting their behavior in this way or that way or the other way, you know? They're just going to be like their normal selves. And if their normal self is kind of fake in some way, well, then that's something I'll pick up on or include in my calculus. First time writing in the chat, I was wondering what type is most compatible with my type ISTJ. Freaking Hulk Hogan. Most compatible with ISTJ. Well, according to Socionics, it's ENFP, and I think that's a good match for ISTJ. I think you're best suited to get an ENFP. So I think Socionics is probably right there. And the reason is because you have a great desire to love. They have a tool function of FI and want to be loved a lot, you know? So meanwhile, they've got a TE hidden agenda. They want to be effective. You provide the tool function effectiveness. 1-4, each seek what the other wants. I think it's a good match. You're an ENFP in a relationship with an ISTJ. How's it going, Zandy? Is it good? Is it moist? Is it damp? Or is it dry and brittle? What do you think an INTJ wants most? For everybody to stop doing things wrong. You think ENFJ women are adorable? They're kind of cute. Like Megan Lavoda is an ENFJ.
Megan Lavoda. She makes hysteric blush.
Curtis, Sheila turned your reasoning back on you there. Okay, so we're coming up on an hour, and I'm feeling like I'm just gonna smoke a cigarette and say some leisurely goodbyes here and call it a night. It's been a long day for me.
Aww.
There you go. I believe Blair Walder, 2013. So I once said in an Asshole's Guide to 16 Personality Types that the INTJ can be summed up thusly. Everybody is doing everything wrong, and though I display nothing, my rage runs deep. Kim, you're the best. Zandy just wants to hug you because you're adorable.
Hug me.
I want to hug you too because you're adorable. After I smoke your cigarette, though. Kim, it sounds like she's in a better mood. I agree. And I think it's because I understand better now. Every time she starts saying something mean to me, I'm just going to remember, tell her you love her because she's not trying to actually be, she's not actually mean to be mean. She's just, she's trying to get you emotionally engaged. And it's like, even if it's angrily, I'd rather have you emotionally engaged.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah, but you're getting shitty grease because you're attacking, so you get equivalent grease. Whereas if you just try to chill a little bit,
grease is dirty.
my grease is dirty. Grease your face tonight.
Ew! I'm gonna grease your face.
Yeah, Joel Nathan Henry thinks I'm an ENFP trained debater, despite the fact that I pointed out last time you made that comment, Joel Nathan Henry, that foremost, I wasn't a trained debater. I didn't have a debate coach. I had a speech coach, so I trained myself. I guess I'm still trained, if you consider training oneself to be trained. But supposedly I'm an ENTP, says Jerry the Mouse. Jerry like the Mouse. I'm driving by the overwhelming drive to ask, why is this normal? You mean, like, why is this normal? Why do people do this? This is so crazy. I get that. TE over FI makes INTJs look a little more that way than they are. Would INTJ quote apply to ISTJ too? No, not at all, because ISTJ is all about themselves. They're SI. So NI DOMs go, everyone else is. Yes, I do. Thank you, Joseph House.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you.
We need to have a bell.
Yeah, we should have a bell for that. That totally got my full attention.
Yeah.
So
we need to do the xylophone when we get a donation.
Not to mention, I'm a fan of performance art. Well, it's a good, pretty snappy comeback there, Curtis. Grease is the word. It's the word. It's the Is any like a tree and inna like a cloud? I would say any is like rain and inna is like a well. When you pull up a bucket of water from a well, you always have a neat and tidy bucket of water. But if you try to catch water in a bucket in the rain, you just get all wet. That's pretty good analogy there. A probs get real bad at spelling when my eyes are tired and keypad is small. That sound like good blues lyrics for a blues song. So you'd be correct. INTJs do think we do most things correct. Right is subjective. Correct is objective. Okay, I like that distinction. I guess. I don't necessarily know if that's a standard distinction to make, but no, I don't like the band Nickelback. If I had bought one of their records for 5 cents, I'd want my Nickelback. You get that joke? It's a standard. Okay. See, I probably skipped some things up here. So I'm gonna do. Let me see if I can go back and catch a couple. Makes sense, and gang tier. Most ISFPs are inarticulate doers. I'd like to get to know NFJs to see how it goes. I do okay with NFPs. The Shaw. I tried having a long-term friendship with an ISTJ as an ENFP, and it ended in a fist fight. Really? That's surprising. Tell Kim she's the best. I did. You are the best, Kim.
Oh, thank you.
And his manipulative FE women. That awe was for Curtis. Oh, well, he deserves it. Give Kim some loving because she's fierce and fabulous. You know, I do want to give her some loving, but I don't know if I want to love her for being fierce and fabulous. I mean, I don't think of her as. I do think of you as fierce for sure. I guess, but
Isn't it sad that he doesn't think of me as fabulous?
I think of you as adorable. Those are exclusive. I think of fabulous as like a drag queen.
Oh.
You know, drag queens are fabulous
Oh.
and fancy and like all dressed up and stuff. You know, but you're adorable and you're frumpy.
You're kind of fabulous.
Am I?
Yeah.
Like a drag queen?
Kinda.
A little bit. I'm a little fabulous.
You're more fabulous than me.
Yeah, for sure. I wear the sexy hat. That's fabulous, right? Now that's a fabulous hat. The sexy hat is the definition of fabulousness.
Well, you know, the archpastor's wife's bonnet is pretty fabulous as well.
Which type is the best at typing themselves? Probably,
Well, since everybody thinks they're an ENTP.
probably.
Thank you, Amber.
Well, here's the thing. If you think about it mathematically, it's probably ENTPs because so many people mistype themselves as ENTP that all of those people are some other type. So they're obviously not going to win this contest. Now, the ones who are correct in ENTP, well, I mean, most ENTPs who are actual ENTPs aren't going to mistype as something else because they typically mistype in those type tests is giving too many intuitives. So I would say it would be on that logic, it would be ENTP or INFJ who's the most correct at typing themselves, but there's also going to be the most incorrectly named quote unquote ENTPs and INFJs. My SI likes Nickelback. Well, I got a couple of those too. I got a couple of those SI faves that aren't really very good, but I kind of like it because it reminds me of something. What do you think about 16 personalities? Turbulence
What
versus
reminds you of
assertive?
something?
Whatever it is, like a song that I don't like particularly, but I mean I like it, but I don't think it's very good because I like it for my own personal memories, like it links to my childhood or something. Um, let's see. Embracing the inner drag queen. Yeah, well, I'll show you, Amber. I'll show you my fabulous hat. I think you'll have to agree. It speaks nothing but truth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There aren't many people sexy enough to wear this hat, but I am. And I think we can all agree it's a fabulous hat.
It's pretty funny that you were wearing that. I think the first time I met you.
No, I was not. I did not wear this hat to our date. There is zero chance of that.
I said, "Oh my god, I want a piece of that sexiness."
Yeah. So anyhow, I think I'm gonna call it a night here. It's been fun. It really cheered me up. I was in kind of like a sour mood after all that work and driving around. But
he can pull it off, Sheila, and he does.
Yeah, so anyway, I got this in Pratt, Kansas at a gas station. Why were they selling this ad in Pratt, Kansas at a gas station? I don't know. That's where I got it. See y'all later. Thanks for being here. Have a pleasant evening.
You are too sexy for your shirt. Sheila wants you to take off your shirt.
No, Amber said